her trunk. She's also got a young bull calf that is pestering her for nursing. He's a bit too old to be drinking milk, but he continues to pester her day in and day out. And I think it could be that she's already lactating in order to get ready for her new arrival. She does look to be pregnant, and this calf may be trying to steal the milk of its brother or sister to be. That's the baby squealing. I'm just going to turn the vehicle around quickly so we've got a better angle. Mother seems very relaxed, feeding right up towards us. Come on, that is unnecessary. You're complaining like a spoiled little brat here.
Not very becoming.
No. Well, let's see if it takes its aggression out on us. It hasn't shown us too much attention over the last few days that we have been viewing this herd. Again, it's easy to tell them apart from other elephants because there have only been 3 of them, and I'm surprised that for now, it's about 4 days now, it has just been the 3 of them. Who knows, maybe it's because of this troublesome little calf that the herd doesn't want them hanging around. This youngster complaining that it can't drink all the time, but I'm only joking, that's not likely, and it would be interesting to know why this cow has separated herself and, in all likelihood, her 2 offspring from the rest of the herd. It's abnormal for one female to be walking around with her kids. I guess we'll never know the exact answer as to why, but we can speculate, I guess. I don't think they would have lost the herd. Their ability to communicate infrasonically over many, many kilometers through vibrations in the earth would allow elephants to keep in touch over what I've heard recorded up to 30 miles or so they can communicate. So it's not likely that they would have lost track of the herd that they would usually spend time with. Hello. I don't want to move the vehicle, so apologies for the radio antenna, but sometimes we just have to make do with the angle that we've got. And she is very close to us, so I don't want to bother her. Now that she has her trunk up, and keep a close eye on her trunk as she moves it around. It is missing the prehensile little fingertips, and she in all likelihood would have lost that to a snare, a wire noose that poachers will use to catch animals. Now, the problem with snares is that they do not discriminate. Anything that puts its foot or trunk through a noose or wire noose will be caught. And in this case, it was this poor elephant's trunk. I'm going to try and reposition now that they've moved off a little bit. But sadly they're moving into thick bush, and every time we find these elephants they are heading into thick vegetation, which makes it difficult for us to follow them. she found there. It's hard to tell through this thick vegetation, but what I can tell you is that elephants spend basically all the time that they're awake feeding. They're on a never-ending quest to eat, and they need to eat huge amounts of vegetation every day. So they do have a huge role and impact on the environment. If there was no elephants here, we would be in a thick forest. But they thankfully keep things open, and that's their role, to mass feed on huge amounts of plants. Their digestive system's actually poor, and they barely digest a lot of the food that they feed on. But their droppings are then further digested by other decomposers and other animals to get those nutrients back into the system. So it all works out in the end. It's not that they're taking a shortcut, it's the way it's meant to be. But because of their poor digestive system, they need to acquire very large amounts of food. This female, judging from her size, would probably need around 100 kilograms of food a day, but big bulls could require as much as 200 or 250 kilograms of vegetation every single day. And as they move, they feed. Well, that was a pleasant surprise, and thank you to Brian for spotting them. I nearly drove straight past them as I was looking at tracks on the road. John in California, welcome on board, and thanks for sending your question through. John would like to know how much of an impact is the missing trunk causing for this female elephant. And it's interesting, she seems to be very healthy and they adapt to their injuries. It obviously is limiting her to a degree to pick up very small things like a peanut, for example, which she wouldn't really be picking up here. But she's doing okay, and I have seen her using her trunk and using it very successfully. I've also seen other elephants that have lost their trunk, but a lot higher up. She was quite lucky, I guess you could say, because she's only lost a small amount of the end of the trunk. Sometimes I've seen elephants with the trunk that's only about that long, and even them can still manage, and they make a plan, they can still get food into their mouth. It's just a little bit food into their mouth. It's just a little bit more. Humans that have amputees or whatever the case may be, that make plans and do things that we would think would be impossible.